Hello guys. So day 70 of the RC practice series. I hope your preparation is coming along really well and you're improving with every passing day. All right. So the first paragraph of this passage introduces the subject of discussion, the Constitutional Convention of the United States, the drafting committee, basically, the drafting committee of the Constitution of the United States took a radical course. It did not only amend Articles of Confederation, rather it called for a new government, and that was a risky step taken. Second paragraph tells us that the convention, the delegates to the convention were smart, they were shrewd, so they decided to bypass the Congress in getting the constitution ratified because they knew Congress might not accept the draft. They took the easier path. They presented the constitution only to specially elected state ratifying committee, which was equivalent to presenting the constitution directly to the people. That led to a conflict. Supporters of the constitution, also called the federalists, had something concrete, that is the constitution itself, a proposal itself. Anti-federalists, on the other hand, did not have any concrete plan. They were on shaky grounds. And the last paragraph also tells us that anti-federalists were also skeptical of people, though they pretended to be more democratic than the federalists. They were also skeptical of people. Instances are given. Therefore, it is implied in the last paragraph that ultimately federalists won in getting the constitution ratified. That's what the implication in the last paragraph is. Okay. So overall, the passage is a brief account of drafting of the US Constitution and its ratification, how getting the Constitution approved was, it led to a battle between supporters and the opponents of the Constitution. It's about that. Let's look at the questions now. The author of the passage is primarily concerned with, okay, option A, contrasting the opposing sides in a battle. Tempting choice, very tempting choice. Let's think about it a bit. First thing to understand is what would this answer choice mean? Contrasting the opposing sides in a battle. It would mean author has given us a summary of or a description of both the sides of the battle, that is federalists and anti-federalists, their demands, their expectations, their modus operandi, etc. Their manifestos probably. So contrasting the opposing sides in the battle, their strategies. Now, if at all, this is only a minor part of discussion, a narrow point of discussion and not the primary concern of the passage. So this goes out. Analyzing the effects of an event. Okay. Again, an answer choice that demands some contemplation. If this word event refers to drafting of the constitution, author does analyze the effects of that constitution, that is development of a conflict between supporters and opponents. However, that is just one effect. And the plurality of this word effects, analyzing the effects of an event. The plurality suggests that this answer choice has a wider scope than the passage has. Passage is limited to one particular effect of the constitution drafting, the drafting process, that is, or the ratification process. That one effect of the drafting process was that it led to a conflict between the two sides, supporters and opponents. That's just one effect of the event and not multiple effects of the constitution per se or drafting of it. So, okay, these too general, too wide goes out. Urging a reassessment of history. Author Stone has never been recommendatory or prescriptive. Therefore, this goes out right away. Describing the background of a conflict. The conflict refers to the conflict between federalists and anti-federalists. Background refers to the drafting or the process of ratification. And that is exactly what the author tells us. It tells us about, describes the background of a conflict. Therefore, D is the correct answer. In stating that anti-federalists were opposing something with nothing, this is easy. Author suggests what? Okay. So author tells us here that federalists had one advantage. They came with a concrete proposal, and the anti-federalists came with nothing. So they were opposing something with nothing, which simply means that they offered no alternative plan of government of their own. Easy question, this one. D is the correct answer. Which of the following statements about Elbridge Gerry can be inferred from the passage? Now, what is said of this man, Elbridge Gerry, is that he refused to sign the constitution, which means that he had signing authority. And who had signing authority? The delegates to the Constitutional Convention had signing authority, which means this guy, Elbridge Gerry, was also a delegate to the Constitutional Convention. B is the correct answer. Now, was he a delegate to the Massachusetts State Ratifying Convention? Okay. We don't know that the ratifying convention had signing authority. They might only have a voting right on the Constitution. They might not have a signing authority in the Constitution. So we don't know that. Okay. He was the architect of the policy of drift. Well, simply alien. He claimed to have a more democratic view of the government than the Federalists. Now, this is not true particularly of this man, Elbridge Gerry. This is generally true of anti-federalists. Anti-federalists generally claim to be the more democratic group. However, if a particular set in general claims something, it cannot be inferred that every member of the group also claims the same. It's an average statement. It's a averaged statement, I would say. Something that is true generally of a particular group, it is not necessarily true of every member of the group individually taken. So this is also therefore something we can't say, can't be determined. The author's quotation of John Mercer serves which of the following purposes? Okay. Now, John professed little faith in his neighbors as voters when he said, people cannot know and judge the character of the candidates. Now, all these examples given in the last paragraph are there to support the idea of the last paragraph that anti-federalists were no more democratic than federalists were. So can I say that John's quote summarizes the last paragraph? Not really. It maybe exemplifies the idea in the last paragraph. It does not summarize the last paragraph per se. It furnishes a concrete example. Yes, maybe the correct answer. It articulates the main point of the passage, not the passage. The main point of the passage is that there was a conflict between federalists and anti-federalists. And the main point of the last paragraph is that anti-federalists were no more democratic than the federalists were. So it does not articulate the main point of the passage. Maybe it articulates, his quote articulates the main point of the last paragraph. It clarifies the preceding quotation. Well, there's no direct relation between the preceding quote, that is that of Elbridge Gerry and John Mercer. Both of them are examples of the common idea, but the second quote does not clarify the preceding quote per se. This is also wrong. Last question, which of the following would be the most appropriate title for the passage? Now this one was easy. Divided leadership at the Constitutional Convention. The top is not about divided leadership, divided opinions rather on the constitution. How the constitution became law. The passage does not explicitly tell us that the constitution did actually become a law. So this is beyond scope of the passage. The US Constitution, its strengths and weaknesses, alien idea. The battle for ratification, the approval of the Constitution, that is exactly is the content of this passage. So a moderate level passage, because there were two questions which were tricky. The remaining three were easy. Overall, a moderate level passage. Hope you enjoyed. Keep watching, keep improving. Cheers to learning.